God will answer us, but we have to, when we come to Him, we have to come with our hearts open and realizing that the healing process is not, as you say, it's not a magic potion. It's not something that's going to have instantly. And I think that's why a lot of people get discouraged and fall away so quickly from Christ, because people tell them, misinstruct them. They tell you of the fruits of the Spirit, the peace, the love, the joy, but they don't tell you that you're going to have to, the journey, that it's a journey, and the journey has peaks and valleys, and that in order to be healed, you may have to hurt some. As God is working that process out, as God is showing you the areas in which you need to be healed, you're going to have to face some things, honestly, and you're going to have to put it on the table, and then you're going to have to let God work it out. And sometimes that process is very uncomfortable.
Yes, Sister Melva, it is very uncomfortable. I remember many areas in my life where God had to show me where I was. And even though I know He forgave me, He's such a loving and forgiving God. He forgave me, but a lot of things I didn't forgive myself. And I think sometimes, a lot of times, that's what happens to us when our heart is so broken, when we're broken. We have to really get to the point where we say, God, I trust you. I love you. And I'm going to trust you with everything of who I am and every being of my life. I can share with you that when I first came to Christ, and you heard me mention it about my mom had died when I was 22 years old. And during that time that she had died, I was also using drugs. And I was going through so many different things in my life. And God gave me a dream. I was living in New York. I'm from New York. And God gave me a dream that if I didn't leave New York, that I was going to die. And I knew that it was real. And all I know is that this voice kept talking to me. Everything that I had to do, He told me what to do. And He guided me. He opened up the doors. And was it a process for me? What I did was, before I even got on a plane, I told my girlfriend, Peggy, I said, you know what? Before I get on this plane, I have to repent. And we went to this tent the night before. And I ran to the altar with everything that I had. And I can remember now just as vividly, and it touches my heart, because I didn't know that God could forgive the way that He does. I got on that plane after after. And next thing I knew, the week later is when I joined the church, and I began to learn Him. I began to seek this God that I used to talk to my mother about from the age of 9, of who He was. And I wanted to know what He was all about, and to feel me, to know the pain that I was feeling in my heart. You see, I tried to kill myself a couple of times, but something stopped me. And I thank God because it didn't happen. I'm sitting right here saying to you that God can and will save you. He will hear you when you cry out to Him. And during the process of learning Him, I had to get into the Word. I went to Bible studies, as I mentioned earlier. I began to seek Him even on my own, outside of the church, the church that I was attending. I continued. I would pray at home, and I would read, and a lot of times I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what the scriptures were saying. But I would go to God, and I say, God, my heart, Lord, my heart. This is just the way I would talk to Him. I said, God, my heart. If you can just help me with my heart. I know that every time the preacher gets up there and says that God doesn't look at the outward appearance, but He looks at your heart. That's all I kept saying. I said, Lord, my heart. I'm hurting. I'm drug addicted. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to turn to. I'm trusting you with who I am. I need to learn you. And so in doing that, and understand this, you have to allow Him to do this. You have to allow God to be God in your life. That when, like Sister Melba was saying, there are times it's going to hurt. You're not going to want to hear it. You're not going to want God to show you who you are because you're so filthy. And I used to tell God, I said, God, I'm filthier than David. Lord, don't just clean me, wash me out with hyssop, but the sinner leaves too. Because see, I realized, that I had so much stuff inside of me that I wasn't letting go, and I was afraid to go. I was afraid to give it to him. But as he continued to soothe me through his word, oh my God, my God, my God, God is such an awesome God. He began to show me, and I began to let things go.